My name is Dexter Khan from Cocoyea, London Mass Band. I've been involved in Notting Hill Carnival for the last 40 years. I have started with one of the great designers of Trinidad and Tobago, which is worldwide now, a guy called Peter Minshall. And just by a friend, in those days said it's a guy from Trinidad named Peter Minshall, and he's bringing a band. When I came to London, I did not realize that the culture was not there. And when we got involved with Peter, what has happened is that I realized, hey, this is for Trinidad. Trinidad culture in music and in costumes, to bring it on the streets of Notting Hill, which we did for 3-4 years. And Cocoyea has moved on in a way of bringing out a lot of other bands, 8 to 10 bands, big bands, from you name it, and they're from Cocoyea. My contribution is more about the culture and the creation of taking Trinidad and putting it into London for the creation of costumes, which is unique in itself. No one has seen outside Trinidad how to create big, elaborate pieces, which today, unfortunately, is not like that. A friend of mine said that there's a gentleman called Peter Minshall going to bring a band in London. I never heard of him, but when I met him, we all decided as Trinidadians who came up in the 60s, 70s, we will support, and which we did. And up to today, there's no one else with creation like Minshall. Peter left to go to Trinidad, and a lot of people say, why don't you bring a band? Why don't you bring a band? But in those days, a costume band, we were involved as supporters of the Metronome Steel Orchestra, right? Cocoyea started to say we will bring a costume side. When we went to apply for funding from the Arts Council, they said they do not fund steel bands. So we had to form a group, and the group was called Cocoyea. For 2 years, we came on the road as Metronomes Cocoyea. And after that, we went our way, but we still supported Metronome Steel Band. Cocoyea was formed in the early 80s. After that, we decided to bring a designer I met through Peter Minshall called Nikki Lyons. Nikki was a theatrical designer, right? And she used to work in the film studios in London, right? Nikki ended up in Hollywood, right? She served 5 years with us, and then she moved on, right? And up to today, with Arthur Peters, Nikki, and Barclay, they had created such fantastic costumes. It was incredible. The difficulty we faced when we first came out is a situation of police attitude way back in those days, right? Don't mind, it was something that we used to have 2 police officers with us in the front of the band, but we still used to see a lot of problems. Anyhow, as years go by, everything has simmered down, right? And what it is, you see now, is what we end up having. Yes, I'm surprised by the growth of Carnival. One, it's a pity that they're calling it the party on the street, which is, when we came, we never known about a party on the street. It was more about the culture and the costumes that was made. I mean, take for instance, Barclay has changed the concept of Notting Hill Carnival when he came to Cocoyea, right? For 15 years, Wayne was Cocoyea designer. Nicky was 5 years, Arthur was 2 years. At the end of the day, what we have created as a unit, as Cocoyea London, it was incredible. In order to fund the band, we decided to do a little get-togethers. At the end of the day, we started in a place called Swiss Cottage. Today, Swiss Cottage is an icon where Cocoyea is concerned and where a lot of people are concerned, where they meet a lot of people. Today, will always remember Cocoyea from Swiss Cottage. From Swiss Cottage, we went to Camden Palace, right? With nearly 2,000 people inside and 500 people locked outside. That was the birth of the culture. And we have expanded ourselves. From there, we went to the Forum, we went to the Scala, we went to Bromyard, right? We even took in an exclusive club in the West End called China White. We have break a lot of barriers. But again, it's part of the culture, the building of the culture. Today, what Cocoyea is all about is getting young designers, let them learn the culture and go and form their own band on the thing. Notting Hill Carnival experience was with Peter Minshall, and that was inspired me into Carnival in the whole. Up to the day, I still have a lot of respect for Peter. And then Peter left, and as I said, he went. And then I had Nicky Lyons, right, who was a theatrical designer. Then I had Arthur Peters. After that, I got Wayne Barclay, who was a world-renowned carnival designer for 15 years. My contribution to Notting Hill Carnival was to put Trinidad on the map, to bring the culture to London. I feel very emotionally about Notting Hill Carnival because it's the first time you could see, I am talking from the Windrush, second, third, fourth generation of youngsters who are taking part in Carnival. And I don't care what part of the Caribbean from, I will always remember that when we was in Swiss Cottage, Smokey used to say Trinidad, Trinidad, and one day I said, nah, stop that. We're gonna call it Bring Your National Colors. Now a lot of youngsters in there was a second generation of Caribbean people. Some of them didn't even know what was the national colors, right? So I said, go and ask your parents or your grandparents. And that is how the national colors became famous. And we had a guy called Flagman selling flags of the Caribbean. And in those days, people were proud that we part with their parents, but they are telling you they're black and British. And we're saying, yes, we know you're black and British, but national colors. And that is how Cocoyea were kept going through national colors.